Episode 80, Exercise, Maximizing Personal Productivity at Work.
You're listening to the very best podcast in the world on health, wealth, and happiness. Please remember to leave a review and share with all your friends and family. And here is your host, Lars Hilser.
And we're back on another Exercise Friday, and upon popular demand and repeated demand, we are going into lesson 3 of maximizing personal productivity at work. Personal productivity. It seems that the pop filter is not really working, but what the fucking hell. So, what was this exercise and this episode and this series really about, right? We I think it was episode 20 and 25, we went in and over our heads in trying to increase personal productivity. I called it maximizing because it sounds so much more exciting, right? And that worked. I think those two are two of the most downloaded episodes of the show. And so, welcome to the very best podcast in the world, your personal and only source in the universe for personal supremacy through health, wealth, and happiness. Now, there we have it. And yeah, boy, what a week. A week of pain and toothache and sickness and whatnot. And boy, did we get a lot of shit done despite all of these things in our way. It was just an insane week. So, thanks everyone for your support and your caring words and, all that kind of shit. I'm doing well. I'm doing better. And yeah, whatever. Now, I kind of put together, you can still hear when I exhale that my nose is a bit clogged up. So never mind. There are 15 things that I found and I stole that we're going to go through today. Not because I was too lazy, but it was more about, how do I personally increase my productivity at work? And those of you who are wondering, yeah, my day is long. Yeah, my day is adventurous. And yeah, my day has 28 hours, but don't tell anyone. And I don't sleep at all. No, but it's a lot about, getting routines lined up and automated and, using time wisely, combining the use of times. I've repeatedly mentioned that it's better to listen to podcasts and to watch YouTube videos simply because your visual sense is not impaired or distracted from what you're actually doing. And when you're, doing whatever you're doing, the chores around the house, and you listen to a podcast rather than watching a video, you're going to be done so much quicker. That's, just one piece of advice. And I'm not going to bore you any longer with the past. I have to scratch my ear right quick. Sorry for that. And then let's get into the 15 things that you can do to maximize your personal productivity, not at home, but at work. Now, number 1, track and limit how much time you're spending on tasks. The privileged ones of you who have worked in using Agile/Scrum methodologies and techniques are going to be quite aware that every task that you take down should get a time budget. How much time do you have to invest to get this task done? And that's very important because it's going to give you an overview of your day and not leave you at your revision of your daily plan at noon with either nothing to do or a hopeless list of tasks that just totally spiral out of proportion. And so limiting yourself will, if limiting in this sense means that let's say you have a task, it's supposed to take 30 minutes, you're still not done after 35, then you quit the task, leave it laying there and estimate the time you're still going to need, write it down, and then you're going to put it in your bucket list for tomorrow. That's what the part limit means in that sense. And no, we're not going to be recording all of this shit, because then you, as I probably, a lot of you will be busy trying to optimize your time limits and whatever. And that's going to take away so much time of your, already stressed out day that, where are you going to put those 3 hours, right? At the end of the week, sitting at your, favorite Starbucks or whatever, and trying to figure out, with all of the statistics that you have, how you can make yourself the machine that you are even more. No, we're not going to go there. That's just not going to fucking happen. So, number 2 is taking regular breaks. This is insanely important, particularly in the screen age, because by law in a lot of countries, you have to take so-called screen breaks every X minutes, depending on the country you're in, to allow your eyes to readjust to certain distances, because otherwise you're going to just simply fuck them up. Now, the regular breaks also give you other opportunities that your employers are not going to be very happy about. It's going to allow you to exchange ideas with coworkers, have short meetings in the hall. And those of you like me, the bad smokers, boy, do we have a social gathering, even if it's cold and even if it's shitty weather, the smokers are always in the cool spot, and the smokers are always the most sociable people on the planet, and they're going to stay that way. So, that just as a small piece of advice. No, seriously though, in the teams that I worked with, the smokers that I worked with were really much more productive, because, you would just meet with them occasionally in the smoking area, and you would just do kind of like informal stand-ups and just, kind of get things out of the way, which, just by, talking to each other rather than, trying to figure out whatever. So a lot of exchange takes place there. And so, these open meeting areas that are introduced in a lot of places are, try to do the same thing, but it's not the same thing if you're a bunch of addicts standing around, right? Much more fun. You're bad. To the Marlboro man. So, number 3, set self-imposed deadlines. And holy shit, you're so stressed out, and, can you use even more? No. Yeah, you can. Now these have to be healthy. They can't be unrealistic deadlines in your personal agenda. Be gracious to yourself and kind of try and keep yourself in a realistic way, setting yourself deadlines. But it's important, on the other hand, to trick your brain into thinking that, you actually have to have it done at a certain point in time. And to trick yourself and jackass yourself into believing that, it's important to have the deadline set somewhere, not in stone, but maybe in the computer. That gives you, number 1, you kind of jackass your brain into believing that, you need to get it done. And on the other hand, that it doesn't really need to be done, but, and then on the other hand, you're stressing yourself out, by setting yourself. No, these are really valuable if you say, okay, I need to have this done by X, because, don't tell your brain why, because then it will understand the fuckery, but you know where I'm getting to, right? So, then we have the 2-minute rule, which says that if you have a task that takes 2 minutes or less, do it immediately. Or, whatever, if you see a piece of paper laying around that needs to be refiled somewhere, and that's going to take you 2 minutes or less, do it now. Because number 1, putting it into your Outlook or reminders application or whatever is going to take much longer than actually doing it. That's the absurdity and how perverse some people try to be at time management. And on the other hand, it's going to just fucking do it. It's about this thing, better well said. No, better well done than well said. That's kind of like the thing about it. So, just get it done, get it over with. That's the 2-minute rule. Number 5, just say no to meetings. Almost had you there. At least you Americans. Now, meetings are arguably the most fun way to waste your work time away. Meetings are fun. Meetings are, you get to spend corporate money on kind of, eating good, well, not good food, but, eating food and that kind of thing. If you have guests over for meetings, you can, you want to treat them to something. So you order food and catering and whatnot. But at the end of the day, meetings are a fucking waste of time, and they always will be. If you can't get it done in an email, then, there's not even a reason to pick up the fucking phone, right? And I used to do it, and I remember one contract that I was on, there was this very, very insanely attractive, what's it called? Intern, then I don't know. I didn't really want to empower her. The meetings were just so insanely useless in this project that I just, kind of empowered her and said, look, okay, your mission, should you accept it, is to go to all these fucking meetings, take the notes, break it down into 15 minutes, debrief me about the meeting, and then we're good to go. And she was, she felt empowered. All of a sudden she was part of the corporation. She was, and it was good fun. She was very good at taking notes, cutting out the bullshit, delivering me the 15 minutes. Problem about the meetings these guys were having was, they were set for 3 hours. The first hour was talking bullshit and waiting that everybody was there. Then there was 1 hour of content, more or less, because no piece of technology ever worked or was compatible. And random discussions and interruptions by calls and whatnot. And then the last hour was talking bullshit again. So you could actually condense it down to 10 to 15 minutes. The important bullets, and that's what she reported back to me, send an intern. Don't go yourself. Go to the golf course. It's more rewarding than going into fucking meetings, right? When there's absolutely positively no way that you can avoid meetings, number 6, hold standing meetings. Again, those of you familiar with the Agile Scrum techniques know the daily stand-up, which is a meeting every morning where you stand and in all briefness describe, your last day, your current day, and where you need help and issues and whatever, a whole bunch of things. But the fact that you're standing makes it uncomfortable for a lot of people. Most of them are obese and not very sportive. And so, they want to get out of that fucking meeting. So, by forcing everyone to stand, the time of the meeting goes down significantly. And, that's something, very well to keep in mind. Number 7, quit multitasking because you're going to fuck up. It always ends that way. There's only a certain amount of processing power that your brain has, and it's single core. Stop fucking and fooling yourself that you can do multiple things at once. Yeah, of course, you can listen to a podcast while you're kind of stenotyping a letter, or whatever. But no, you need your brain to focus on one thing, and there's no way you can do 2 things. The ladies, kudos. In a lot of sense, they can. But even in a work environment and in a lot of jobs that have to be done, you just can't fucking do it. Unless, of course, you're doing a very monotonous work, an assembly line somewhere, then, listen to a podcast and don't get caught up in the machinery while you listen to a podcast, because otherwise you're going to have the labor union up your ass. Just saying. Number 8, take advantage of your commute. And a lot of you commuters and commuteresses are taking advantage of that by listening to podcasts. Hey, kudos. Because I had one girl write me up and say she listens to my podcast every morning, which would make her live either in the South America and the Western region, or the west of the United States somehow, I think. Whatever. And now you can not only do that, my better half, for instance, has 2 secretaries and a daily commute of 40 minutes one way. And she is, as soon as she leaves our farm, she's on the phone with her secretaries, discussing with them the day and what needs to be done, and whatever not, and solving questions, because from the moment she steps into the Looney Tune house, she's going to be busy with meetings and has no other way to sync with her assistants. So be creative on what you can do on your commute. You can, if you're not taking the car but the train or subway, you can actually do emails. A friend of mine has, I think it's 1.5 hours travel into Paris every day, but and back by train. But he uses the time for conference calls and chugging away on email. So that's a pretty good way to make use of the time. And if you make use of the time, and you have a track record for that, there is actually, in a lot of countries, a way to make this count as work time, because you're getting shit done, right? Now, number 9 is give up the illusion of perfection. And that's very interesting, because I did an episode a while back which was called Good Enough. And that's where you need to get to. Perfection is something you're never going to achieve. That's just, not even nature is perfect. So why the hell should you be? If you get the message across, I think there's always the point where the 80% rule, where you're 80% done, it's good, it delivers the message. And then it's just about, shall the background of the slide be in cornflower blue and bullshit like that? Should the font be more blah? Gets the message across, what you're trying to say, get it done, get it out there, next, please. That's the very important point. And the topic of that is good enough. Look up that episode. Must have been a while ago, but kind of outlines the picture without, taking too much of your time. Now, if you want to get into more detail, look at that. Number 10, take exercise breaks. That for me would be the breathing exercises of smoking. For a lot of other people, it's, doing sit-ups or whatever, just walking around, even increases your heart rate, for some more than for others. And, it's just good to get your blood circulation in motion again, because the blood circulates to the brain faster, and the brain needs blood to, that thing, it stimulates your brain, gives you another perspective, kind of frees your head up a little bit so that you can, sit down for the next task very much more quickly. For me, the breathing exercises, I use them wisely. I'm constantly on my phone and, checking messages, checking statistics, and, looking for ways to improve, taking notes, journaling, a whole bunch of stuff happens there, which I would otherwise neglect, because then I would go into working horror mode, and I would just be this kind of robotic thing that, will autistically sit in front of the computer, try to get more and more shit done. Now, number 11 is to be proactive and not reactive. And that's a point for debate, because my better half and I couldn't be any different in regards to our working methodologies. Number 1, I spent a significant part of my life as a consultant, which means that I always was presented shitty situations which I had to solve. For the other part of my life, I was a firefighter, which, it's not like that you have a lot of proactivity that you can do. That's other people's job. My job is when shit has hit the fan, I'll correct it, and I will, save your house, or, save your project, or, generate more money for you, get you out of a shitty situation. That's another important, very important thing to keep in mind. My better half, on the other way, my better half, on the other hand, that's the correct English. She's a total opposite. She can't plan enough, and interesting situations arise from those differences that we have. But we've kind of come to love each other and kind of exchange the energy fields of each other with each other. God damn, that was a lot of others. By me kind of deflating her planning obsession, and for me to for her to get a bit of more planning into my life. And so, it was a good kind of connect that we made there. And the proactive part being, yeah, you should be ahead of the curve now. Don't, you can, it's true for, a few things in life, but not necessarily at work. At least that's my perception as a consultant. My better half would have another opinion on that. So, I'll leave that one up to you, whichever you prefer. Number 12, turning off fucking interrupting noisy notifications on your phone, on your laptop, on whatever. Sorry, my nicotine level is getting critical. Notifications. When I started out really in starting my own business and everything, I was insanely active on pretty much any social network that was out there. And this was pre-Facebook. So there were, I don't know, I was probably signed up to quite a few dozen of them. And for every shit that someone did, you would get a notification email. This was pre-push notifications. And it was getting on my nerves so bad because my Outlook was constantly saying that I got a new email, and the emails were largely unimportant. And so I started filtering them, and still they would kind of annoy me because these folders would pile up with unread messages, and that stressed me out. So I, said, okay, put them in that folder and mark them as read. And then I went there and said, holy shit. So anyhow, long story short, any one of your devices making noises or whatever, kill it, and when you go take a dump or, whatever you do to kind of free your head, then you take your phone, or you go smoking, then briefly check your emails. And then you've got multiple, sessions a day where you answer emails unless they're very urgent, in which case they should be a call and not an email, and that kind of thing. It's very important to kind of take the stress out of it and just, turn off these damn notifications. There's no real reason for them, actually, other than to get you, hooked on them, essentially. Number 13, working 90-minute intervals. And this was insanely stressing for me in school when they switched over from 45 minutes to 90 minutes because my nicotine interval is 60 minutes. You get the problem, right? So it took me a long bit of training to kind of get away from that, and to reduce my smoking breaks accordingly. And I was totally stressed out when I came out of a day of school because, my daily rhythm was basically fucked up, and the entire harmony of the day was gone when you were at school because you couldn't smoke when you needed to. No, seriously. 90 minutes are, for some unknown reason, the magic marker where you kind of, where productivity just dies after that. Then you go and take your exercise break or your smoking, breathing break or your lunch break or whatever, and then you get back and then start anew. And it goes, it's way over screen time, by the way. Screen time break. There we go. Which, you should actually take seriously because the more you look at a screen, the more your eyes are going to permanently adjust to the same distance that you have from the screen. And without looking around, which a lot of us do, you kind of get fixated on that distance, or your eyes do. And, with that happening, they kind of get retarded for other distances. So you're going to be very good at the screen distance. That's not going to fade away. But, seeing other people in the distance going to be a problem. Not that that is a problem that you don't want to see a lot of them, but you get the point, right? So, number 14, give yourself something nice to look at. And if it's, in this woke shit age, the booby calendar, hang up the booby calendar. No, but it's about visions and something pleasant for the eye. A lot of you will be sitting in fucking cubicles and having to look at this gray or antique green, or the curry diarrhea orange kind of outlooks. Those are quite disastrous. So, take a picture of your family, for instance, put that there, or of your spouse and put that there. Put a plant in your cubicle because that's going to, give you some feeling of nature at least. Then there's, anything that really pleases your eye and distracts you from the screen occasionally so that your eyes focus on a different distance. That's another very positive benefit from that. Last but not least, minimize interruptions. And how is we going to do that? There's a lot of you that go to work early because there are less interruptions, and then your minions figure out that you come in early, and your minions come in early too, and you go into this vicious cycle where all of a sudden you're going to be at work at 4 a.m. just to avoid the minions. Fuck no. It's about using whips and punishing your minions for disturbing you. No, it's about re-education programs, really. And I'm not talking about the ones in Siberia. It's about, is it, there's a very important rule. Does the meeting include food? Then why is it not, and the answer is no, then why is it not an email? And no, nothing could be more honest, right? When you, what's the point? When there's oftentimes there's no reason for, calling someone or sitting down in there's no fucking reason for it. Write an email, write a short email, and train everybody to write you short emails and not to call you. I was on a project once, I forget where it was actually. And I actually unplugged the fucking phone that they had set aside for me. And nobody had my cell phone number, because then I would have gone apeshit. It must have been, I don't know, was it Spain or Italy? Anyhow, very interesting environment. These people are on the phone constantly, and I hate phone calls because they're unproductive. It's like with an email, if you can't solve the problem within 3 exchanges of emails, you're not going to solve the problem, period. Right? It's not going to happen. And that's the philosophy that I have. And so, a lot of friends even send me emails. They know that I have never understood the concept of instant messaging. I always call it messaging, and I respond when I want to. And with emails, there's a very likely chance that I'll be looking at them very frequently throughout the day and will reply if it's urgent. And that doesn't go for all of these instant message platforms, which are creeping up everywhere and stealing everybody's time and data. So in that sense, you have a free weekend because you're not going to be working on the weekend, I hope. And if you are, then make use of these technologies, to kind of make them your own. Write them down. Write them down on a sheet of paper, practice them, hang them up in your office for a few weeks, go over them prayerly. What's the correct word that I'm done? I don't know. Look at them as your new kind of credo. Try and adhere to them as much as you can. And, then if after a few weeks you say, God, what a bunch of bullshit, throw them away. And, if you know somebody with productivity issues that could use a bit of a push, send them this episode. Yeah, or a link to this episode. Yeah, that's more correct. If you haven't subscribed to the podcast, devious you, then do so now. And otherwise, I'm going to wish you the rest of a successful day, a happy, calm, relaxing weekend, because that's what weekends are there for, as we discovered in a previous episode. And if you've already had a successful day, then I wish you a good night and a good start into a relaxing, rejuvenating weekend. And in that sense, I'm going to say peace out, and I'm going to hear you again on Monday, hopefully, if, inshallah. So take care. Peace out. Bye-bye.